You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome all and welcome in. We are back. It's Monday, the 15th of September. It's the Insight NFL show, SuperCoach edition. I am your host tonight, Mullin, joined by Maverick and Secko. Gents, before we jump in, just to kind of overview, this is a SuperCoach show, like I've just mentioned. We'll be recapping all the week 2 games to date that have played. We'll have a couple of more games that are yet to be played. We'll cover them on tomorrow's traditional fantasy show, along with some waiver wire chat and everything like that as well. But I'll throw it to you, Mav. Week two games left to go. I mean, this one, it's been a bit of a heartbreaker. How are you feeling with 2 games left on the slate?
Yeah, not too bad. There's obviously a few things that have happened this week that has sort of shocked me a little bit. You never want to see injuries happen to top talent around the league. And Joe Burrow, who we'll go through, I'm sure, a bit later on in the injuries, but he was probably the one that got me the most. If the duration is what they're saying it is, and that's going to hurt. But all in all, just on a traditional fantasy side, wasn't too bad. I lost a few leagues, won 50-50, the rest I've won. So, all in all, I've probably won majority compared to I've lost. So I will take that. But Jesus Christ, it's come with some fatalities along the way. So, yeah, anyway.
You definitely take more wins than losses than you can. I'd say that's a winning week. Mav, Secko, is everything a little bit more positive in your realm? I mean, Joe Burrow, I don't want to get onto that just yet, but how are you feeling? Nearly finished week 2.
Yeah, look, it's been, from a SuperCoach lens, we are talking SuperCoach. It's been rough, just in general with me. There's been a lot of very average scores. So not the start I wanted, but I did said it from the top. I did a conservative cash gen centric build. So hopefully when everyone's players have topped out and they're, I can get them on the cheap. But look, we can't miss the Burrow news. It hurts everyone in the Bengals lineup. So we'll get to it, I'm sure, at some point. But if you own a Bengal in any format, maybe it's time to I don't know, look for Plan B.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest fantasy implications, I think, that we could have had to start the season. It's already week 2, which is a shame. But we'll jump straight into it. We've got our injuries. Let's go. Awesome. So as we've been mentioning at the start of the show, Joe Burrow suffered a grade 3 turf toe. Bloody turf toes, they just linger around. He left 4 minutes into the second quarter. And from what we've kind of seen, I know the NFL, they came out on their social saying that it could be up to 3 months, so that 12 weeks period. I'm kind of on the side of I'm not going to try and be too reactive with that kind of news. It is still fresh. It only happened today. Hopefully, hope for best case scenario, and maybe it's towards that 4 to 6 weeks if he doesn't require surgery. Secko, with this news to Joe Burrow, so many fantasy implications like we've meant, but in terms of SuperCoach, I mean, yikes. How are you feeling?
Yeah, look, if he avoids surgery, it's good, obviously. You probably will miss sort of 4 to 6. My issue then is re-injuries and re-aggravation. So I just don't think there's much silver lining. I hate to be a grey cloud kind of guy about this, but I just don't see that positive. The one positive, though, if we're talking about a very high-owned player in Jamar Chase, is that last year Browning was more than competent when he had to play a bunch of games last year, or 2023, I think it was 2023, and Chase was still awesome. He obviously wasn't Triple Crown awesome, but he was still like a top 5 receiver. And Browning himself was throwing from, I think he averaged more than 250 yards. So in terms of Chase will probably be his only guy. Maybe it hurts T. Higgins more and hurts probably Chase Brown more. And that's pretty much the offense anyway. But yeah, if Burrow's out for 4 to 6, it's okay. Any more than that, it's really, it's sort of nightmarish.
Yeah, you're missing a large chunk of the season, as is with 4 to 6. Mav, before we get to the next person, Joe Burrow, I mean, what are your kind of thoughts here as we head into the future?
Well, I'm very reactionary to this, to be honest with you. It's hard not to be when you've got such a a stud QB like he is with weapons that he's got, especially in the SuperCoach landscape. I mean, Chase Brown is the immediate one for me that's got to go. He's currently in my side. He'll be first one traded. Come SuperCoach opening up, I think it will be tomorrow night. He'll be the first one gone. Especially after today's game too. I mean, the Jags defense just aren't that good, and he showed that he struggled as well to go with it once Burrow went down. So, he can go. But yeah, outside of that, Jamar Chase, you probably still keep him. If you own T. Higgins in any sort of fantasy format, that's a bit gross now too. Jake Browning was awful for the most part. So, it sucks. It really does suck. I can't think of a positive outcome out of this at all. There's nothing I can really think of. So let's hope that Joe Burrow's only out for a month, and let's hope it's not 3 months, because otherwise that's curtains on that season, I reckon.
Yeah, it's going to hurt a lot. The Bangos, I'll just shut up shop if it's a worst case scenario. But let's stay positive if we can, and hopefully over the next couple of days we'll have some more confirmed news on how Joe Burrow's timeline is looking for the rest of the season. Our second injury for the day, it wasn't something as hectic as the turf toe, but Justin Fields suffered a concussion midway through their game against the Bills. Very good chance that he does miss week 3 as he enters that concussion protocol. Throw it to you, Mav. With this kind of news, I mean, we saw it, Tyrod Taylor look like they're for a part. Do you want any piece of the Jets offense at all whatsoever if Tyrod Taylor's there, or is it just Fields when he comes back?
Jeez. It's another one that's pretty gross, right? I've got Breece Hall. I've got Garrett Wilson. Not in SuperCoach, but in traditional fantasy. It's not interested anymore. I really liked them last week, and they played really well last week. But today they showed they were just awful on all facets. And if that's the case, and that's what Tyrod Taylor's going to bring to the case for next week, then it's going to be another disgusting score coming for their way, because Tyrod Taylor's been around the league for a while, and to be honest, he hasn't really done a hell of a lot. So, sure, he might be okay, but okay might be maybe borderline 180 passing yards. I'm not really too interested in that. So let's hope Fields is back for week 4. And then we can scrap these backup QBs playing time, because no one wants to see that.
Yeah, and with Jets, I mean, if they lose, if they go 0-4, 0-6, I could definitely see them just trying to play for an early draft pick next year with how many QBs are coming in the class. So that's probably one to watch. Secko, quickly from you, with that, if you have Wilson, is he just an instant trade out for you, or are you willing to hold him and wait till he comes back?
I think in SuperCoach, probably yes. I mean, depends on how many trades you got. I think if we had 6 trades, I think a lot of us would use 6 trades this week in SuperCoach just to rage trade everyone out. So in SuperCoach lens, if you've got Wilson, look, to be honest, when Taylor came in late, start of the fourth quarter, and actually 4 of his 7 or 8 targets, or 4 of his 7 throws went to Wilson. So it might not be that bad a thing, considering that Fields threw for 30-something yards in 3 quarters. So he wasn't doing many favours for Wilson anyway. So to be honest, it probably doesn't hurt Wilson much more than Fields on a bad day does. Probably helps Breece Hall, if anything, which sounds ridiculous, but Tyra won't run as much as Fields did. So, and maybe check down more. So, but were you excited about the Jets? Yeah, last week you were. After this week, I think it's just fade across the board anyway. So it's just I just think they're not a very good team to invest in fantasy in any format. I would stay away from SuperCoach completely. And Fields, if you bought him in early, I feel bad for you, because I know a few people did.
Enough said. Actually, yeah. And sticking with you, Sek, on this one, Brock Purdy dealing with a shoulder and a toe injury. This one's been a little bit undisclosed. They're not really kind of giving us a hard timeline. They all reports are leaning towards that he'll miss next week, but then it's up in the air from week 4 onwards. How does this look for you with the 49ers offense? I know Big Mac Jones Big Mac Daddy got a start today, and he didn't look too bad, but that was against the Saints, so definitely worthy to take that with a grain of salt. But 49ers for you with that Purdy. How's that look?
Yeah, it's always weird when they say 2 to 5 weeks. Like, that's a time frame you don't get very often, which leads me to believe it's a chance it's probably going to be closer to 4 than it will be 2. And Shanahan's known to be a little bit misleading at times. Look, Mac Jones, he completed 2/3 of his passes. He had 270 odd yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, he made McCaffrey go through the air when he couldn't really do much on the ground because they were sort of, obviously game plan for that. He's going to be serviceable. Like, he's going to make these guys go. Unfortunately, he'll have Jennings and Pearsall only. But that's okay. Purdy will probably be out for 3 to 4, I reckon, more. If you had him in your plan, just wait. He'll be good when he's fit and he gets Ayuk back and Kittle back and Jennings and Pearsall and McCaffrey. Like that, Purdy's going to be a target for me, like in true fantasy as well as potentially SuperCoach as a bridging guy when he comes back, because he will lose some cash. So but San Fran will be fine in the meantime. They got a pretty cruisy run.
Love it. Some good news to go on to things. And we've got a couple left here. Maverick, Jaden Reed, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He went down during their game that's opened up the week for us. Broken collarbone, projected 6 to 7 weeks on the sideline. With this news, are you seeing it as like a potential opportunity to pick up some other Green Bay players? Tucker Kraft, Josh Jacobs, Matthew Golden, who did absolutely nothing at the last week. How does this one look for you in that Green Bay offense with one piece missing?
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay's always been a hard offense to read. Well, no pun intended, but it has been throughout sort of the last 12 months. It's been very unpredictable. We know Josh Jacobs is probably the offense. Outside of that, it's a toss-up. Who's the next best after that? You can probably say Tucker Kraft is probably the next best after that. Most reliable outside of Josh Jacobs, probably. And then, you got Golden, Dobbs. Who's the other one they've got there? Wicks pops up here and there. There's Matthew Golden, who had a nearly game, I suppose. It was nearly a donut, but it was also nearly 2 touchdowns as well. So, there's so many different variables in this offense that you have to factor in when they play. So, look, Jaden Reed's obviously a big miss, and he's still, like, if that wasn't a flag, that was a nice touchdown grab while breaking a collarbone too. So, that was nice. But outside of that, it's gross. So, Tucker Kraft for me, we'll go into our buys probably later on in the week, but early on, Tucker Kraft is a massive buy in week going to week 3 for fantasy. He comes in. He's a correction trade for nearly every tight end that you've taken through so far, or haven't taken through so far. He's like going to be legitimately good value at he'll have a negative break even, I imagine, and he's the guy to bring in for sure.
And on that, Mav, we will have our trade-ins and trade-out show this Wednesday for SuperCoach, so make sure you're tuning in then. Same time, 7:30. I'm sure, a lot of Packers players will be getting a mention during that segment. But for our last injury, and this one was a bit nasty. I actually missed this, so thanks, Secko, for throwing this one in. Austin Eckler, sad to see. He tore his Achilles as well in the Green Bay and Washington game. But Austin Eckler, he was the RB1 there at the Commanders. Now it's going to be open for discussion. Is it going to be Bill, Krosky Merritt, Chris Rodriguez? Do they bring in somebody else? How does this look for you, Secko?
Yeah, I get the feeling there'll be somebody else. No one wants to hear that. I don't think anyone watching wants to hear that. I don't think Rodriguez or McNichols are the answer to fill in. They obviously like Bill, what he brings, but I don't think he can be the main guy just yet or ever. But he's always going to be a complementary piece to Eckler. So just get a feeling they're going to bring someone in. I'm not sure who that is, whether they trade from a team or if they bring someone in who's a free agent. But I do get a feeling they will think they're a sneaky option, despite having lost to Green Bay. They still will think they're a decent chance. They had a good run last year. So if not, then I think it'll be a mixture of those other 2 guys and Bill trying to piece together. And it didn't happen last week, but Debo was late in the game, so there's no game plan. If I think if Eckler's out, Debo could be that gadget guy to get a few more sweeps and a few more screen passes and things get going out of the backfield, because he has shown for many, many years he's great at that. So he might be a little sneaky buy as well if you've got 11 trades to do this week.
Watch out for the Commanders backfield, and if they add anybody, that'll be one to watch. But that'll do us here for our injuries for tonight. We will get into our recap, revolving around SuperCoach for each team here. So let's get into the rewind. Awesome. So the first game, one that claimed a couple of injuries, Washington versus the Green Bay Packers. Packers went on to win this game 27-18, and they actually looked. Their defense is looking pretty scary. The Commanders couldn't really get anything done along the ground, probably thanks to Micah Parsons and his input. I'll run through the recap here of what kind of scores that we've had in this game, and I'll throw it to you, Mav, to go through the Green Bay side of things. But Tucker Kraft for SuperCoach, 42 points. Jordan Love, 41. Josh Jacobs, 28. Their kicker, McManus, 22. Romeo Doubs, 20. Dontavian Wicks, 12. And the Packers defense got 10. I won't really go into anything more besides Matthew Golden, which was a popular rookie. He had 3. So 41.2% owned for Matthew Golden. Maverick with Green Bay Packers. What are your takeaway here for in this game?
Well, Matthew Golden, first things first, he's going to be the number one correction trade if you do own him. He's got to go. He's not going to generate any coin at all coming into week 3, unless he does pop off, which would be very unexpected at this point in time, to be honest. So he's probably going to be the first one that's going to go. Tuck Kraft is probably another one. The first one has to come in. So if we're taking one out, one has to come in. So Tucker Kraft looks really good, looks active. Yards after catch, he's a phenomenal beast of a runner. A bit slow for his size, being a tight end. That comes with the nature of it, but a very aggressive runner too. He'll put your shoulder down. He'll hurt on the way through. So love how he goes about it. Obviously, a bit of a touchdown machine to go with it too, which is always handy for SuperCoach. So he's looking fantastic. Josh Jacobs is probably been a bit of a letdown for SuperCoach at this point. I think he had 26 in week 1 and now 28 points in week 2, so averaging out to be 27. Probably expected a bit more out of him so far early in the year. But that's okay. We know what he's like and what he can do, so I'm not too worried about Josh Jacobs at this point in time. And then we're talking about the wide receivers here at the Packers in this game. There wasn't really much there to love. None of them will be really trade candidates or anything like that throughout the week for the wide receivers. No one should own any of them, including Golden. So nothing changes for me on that one. But yeah, outside of that, it was a pretty good game to watch. It was pretty one-sided for the most part, but I still enjoyed the game.
Love it. That's the Packers for week 2. Secko, the other side, Washington Commanders, the defeaters, or the defeated rather. I'll just run through the quick top scores. Jaden Daniels, 35. Zach Ertz, 30. Deebo Samuel, 27. Terry McLaurin, 14. Their kicker, Gay, with 12. And that was pretty much it. The other one kind of worthy of note is Ja'Cory Cross-Gamera scored 3. How does this one look for you from week 2?
Yeah, so Ja'Cory came in later. He was hardly got a run. Eckler was the main guy, and then he had the Achilles, and then it was late in the game. So expect that to change. If you have him, I wouldn't bring him in because that low score does really negate his okay first week, because that's going to be in his rolling 3-week cycle in SuperCoach for the next 2 more weeks. So he won't make that much cash. I mean, if you want to do it and you love the guy, great. But in the running backs, probably don't need to go that deep. And Jaden Daniels, he's underperformed for what I think people who started him thought, but he's averaging 37 points. If that's to be honest, I've watched both of those games pretty closely, and they're about as bad as he could have done. So he's one of those sort of proven fantasy scorers in this format. Loves a bit of a trot. So yeah, I feel like if you started him, hold is way more important trades than him. But hold, because like I just feel like there's a 55 or a 60 around the corner, and you just be rolling and you'll be kicking yourself. Outside of that, Ertz, probably not super coach relevant, because just why? But yeah, it's weird. It seems like Green Bay's only fallibility is tight ends, because Laporta was the only one that went nuts from Detroit last week, and then this week Ertz was the best performer. So maybe, if anything, we can target our tight ends against Green Bay. But yeah, look, it's pretty strange about the Commanders. There's not really a lot of super viable options. Debo, I sort of mentioned in passing. I don't know if you'd bring him into this format. He sort of got saved by junk time. He didn't do anything at all until sort of that last 2 drives. So, and Terry didn't have a preseason. So yeah, it's sort of like I would just say avoid them all. It's funny. Sorry, one more thing. I just want to touch back on Green Bay and Josh Jacobs. He's been really good real life and not so great SuperCoach. And the reason why I can put that down to is he hasn't caught the ball. Now, important thing to look, if you're looking to trade in, the guys who catch multiple balls just get such a leg up in this format. It just gives them those bonus points. So, yeah, if you're tossing up between a Jacobs and a Gibbs or a McCaffrey, or even Jonathan Taylor's had caught 6 balls this year, that's just something to look at, because Jacobs has been amazing in real life, but he's just not coming through in the SuperCoach scoring.
We love targeting the ball catchers in the running back position. That was the recap for Washington Green Bay. That was a Thursday night game for America, or Friday morning for us over here in Australia. Starting off with the Sunday games, Monday morning for us here. I know I think all of us are up here at 3 a.m. this morning. It's been a very long day, to say the least. Cleveland taking on Baltimore. Baltimore absolutely destroyed them, 41-17. I'll quickly run through Baltimore's team before throwing it to you, Maverick. Lamar, 52. Devontae Walker, 31. DeAndre Hopkins, 26. The Ravens defense, 26. Tyler Loop performs again with 24. Zay Flowers with 22. And sad Derrick Henry, the king, let us down with a 4.4 this week. Mav, what are your takeaways here on the Baltimore side of this game?
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because they dominated this game, and look, I'm not saying that Lamar and Derrick Henry have to dominate every single game together for them to be comfortable. But Derrick Henry, we saw very minimal out of him, and they were still really good. So this is against a pretty good Browns defense too. I'll be honest, it is. They're pretty solid. But again, the Baltimore offense is far superior and far too good. There's going to be a few options, I reckon, during this week that you're going to be looking at. I don't think Derrick Henry is actually that good of an option in SuperCoach, to be honest with you. Again, Secko just passed on Josh Jacobs there about his pass catching ability. It's the same thing with Derrick Henry in this format. If he's not dominating the ground and scoring rushing touchdowns, then he's probably just pretty useless in this format, to be honest with you. Look, you've got Zay Flowers, who had 22 points, who will probably still be a trading option coming into week 3. I thought he was okay. 20-something points. That's 22 points, I think it was, from memory. It's probably what he's going to be doing week in, week out. The 48 last week is not really too. It's not a mirror image of how he's going to be going week to week. But again, we're chasing the cash here. So if you're trading like an AJ Brown to get to Zay Flowers, I understand that. So that's one to watch. But outside of that, Tyler Loop was pretty good. He could be a downgrade option for a kicker who hasn't been performing that you're paying at the moment. He's going to be making a ton of cash, and looks like the offense is moving the ball really well, and he's getting involved. So look, he looks pretty good. Hasn't got the heebie-jeebies yet with kicking the balls, so he's fine. And then Lamar just keeps doing Lamar stuff, hasn't he? He's just realistically, I think he's the QB1 at the moment. He's probably the most consistent option in the game. He can do it through the air, on the ground. He can sort of do it all. He made D-Hop look relevant again, and that's a scary hours for anyone for SuperCoach related if you've got Lamar in. So I understand if people want to go out and trade for him this week and get him in and secure him as a captain every week, because that feels like he's really it. So Josh Allen close second, but Lamar looks like he's the guy. And yep, it's safe, very safe.
And the other thing I did forget to mention Mark Andrews dropped a big one for us here, and he is 6% owned in SuperCoach format, so we can definitely forecast that there will be a lot of trade outs for him from next week onwards. Secko, with this Cleveland side of the ball, one thing that I wanted to take away was Quinshon Judkins. He got the start. Yeah, he was in there. He actually didn't look too bad. But I'll run through here with the Cleveland side of the things. Joe Flacco, 18. Dylan Sampson, 18. Cedric Tillman, 18. Judkins got 17. Jerome Ford, 15. Judy, 14. Harold Fannin Jr., 14. Njoku, 12. And their defense got -2. So Cleveland side of the ball against Baltimore Ravens from your side.
Yeah, look, reading out those numbers, very even split, and that's sort of how it was. Unfortunately, they haven't got a lot of firepower. I think it was only about 300 total yards of offense. They actually had more yards than Baltimore did. So Baltimore actually held really well, which is not out of the end zone. When you got superstars like Tylan Wallace and Devontae Walker throwing to, instead of actual good players. So, yeah, weird one. Judkins in his first run. Will only be better. He'll be better for the run.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty obvious he will get improvement. I was a big Samson guy, more with the hope that Judkins would cop a pretty decent suspension. Looks like that's still on the card potentially, but they may have just walked over that. NFL hasn't really mentioned it again. They met last week, so otherwise. Yeah, everyone scored pretty much the same. Fannin is going to be a big target trade-in wise because his break-even will be minus in the 20s, based on last week's score, and then this week's going okay, maybe high teens. So I think if you want to save some cash to go up to somewhere else and get Lamar, for example, from a cheaper option, you may need to use the 12 million or so from Kittle down to Fannin. But there's options galore. Yeah, other than that, I wouldn't touch any of the receivers. Judy and Tillman, Tillman had a really good touchdown catch, nothing else. Njoku's been passed by Fannin, in my opinion. He's pretty much dead. So I would avoid all pass catches and just stick to Judkins if you really want to. And he gets one more week, obviously, till his price rise as well. So next week you'll be able to trade into him if he has a big week next week and scores, high 20s. He'll still be at the 4. I think he's 4 million. You'll be able to trade into him.
Awesome. And before we get into the next game, which was Jacksonville and Cincinnati, we'll just say we will get to all the comments in the live stream at the end of the show. So please stick around. If you've got any questions, SuperCoach, or even traditional fantasy related, make sure you throw them in and we will definitely aim to answer all of them before we sign out tonight. But throwing to you, Mav, with Jacksonville versus Cincinnati, this one was a bit of a scrap, especially when Joe Burrow went down in the second quarter. Since he pulled out a gutsy win, Jake Browning coming in and throwing 3 interceptions with it, but they got the win 31-27. Jacksonville side of the ball, Trevor Lawrence, 41, Travis Etienne, 31, De'Ami Brown, 29, Bashal Tootin, 28, Parker Washington, 20, Cam Little, 20, the Jags defense, 16, Brian Thomas Jr., only 13, and Travis Hunter was a miserable 7. What are the key takeaways from you in SuperCoach for this side of the ball?
Well, for the Jags, for me, is Cam Little is becoming a premium kicker in this format. He's becoming one. He's in my team, but he might be my best player. He might be a captain option next week. Might have to roll with that. But no, they're okay. The Jags still very disappointing. Might add, not beating Cincinnati team without their best player playing is always a concern. Travis Etienne looks like he's really the guy at the running back position for the Jags at the moment. Look, again, not really SuperCoach relevant at this point until we see more sample size from him, but very positive that he's the guy. Tootin obviously looks very prominent and looks like if he ever gets the reins at any point during the year due to injury or whatever, he's capable too. Unfortunately, he's probably going to make some coin before he actually gets the opportunity. So that's a shame that he wasn't getting this at the start of the year. Well, he wasn't getting the full work at the start of the year. We can actually put him in our squads and put him on the bench instead of Travion Henderson, for example. Anyway, and outside of that, Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely a trade out option at this point. He's going to be losing a ton of cash. Very disappointing. And Travis Hunter as well has also been very disappointing too. which again probably ties down to the fact that Trevor Lawrence has also been pretty disappointing. So again, you can only do as much as what your QB can do, and Trevor Lawrence can only give so much. He's pretty capped to what he can do, so which is unfortunate because this offense could be elite with a good QB behind them. But anyway, all in all, pretty disappointing for the Jags, if I'm being honest, except for my boy Cam Little.
Talking, I won't talk about your boy Cam Little, but Brian Thomas Jr., 7.7% owned at the moment. I will be a part of that movement next week. Moving out Brian Thomas Jr. is in my squad. 2 poor games in a row. He has got to go. Secko on the Cincinnati side of the ball. We did have a big week from Jamar Chase, even with Burrow going down. He top scored the game with 59. Jake Browning, fill-in quarterback, 41. T. Higgins, 26. Tinsley with 15. Joe Burrow, 14, but he left 4 minutes into the second quarter. Chase Brown only gave us 14 points, and then the Bengals defense gave us 10. I'll segue to you first. Chase Brown, is he like your guaranteed trade out next week?
The number one, second one after it opens. I was just wrong, and he's no good. He's not. I don't know what happened last year. Or offensive scheming. He's just not the same player. He's got no ability to get through the line. He's got no burst. We can say the Bengals start slow every year, and that's easy to hide behind. But he just looks crap. Like I watched a lot of it today, and he's just not. He doesn't look like he's any good. So I'm happy because I don't own him anywhere else. So I can move on and right my wrong and go straight him up to the running back from San Francisco and be happy with that and just move on until he gets injured and I'll find someone else.
And just to before we move on to the next one, Jamar Chase, we're sticking true with Chase for now. We're going to kind of wait and see how that kind of pans out over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, look, the initial reaction was to just like Burrow's down. It's going to be 12 weeks. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to find a way just to go to anywhere. But yes, Browning was not great. He still had 270 yards in 2.5 quarters, or almost 3 quarters. And he had 2 touchdowns. He does throw picks. That's just what a lot of these backup guys do. That's why they're not starters. If they were good with ball security, they'd probably be starting somewhere. But I'd rather that. I'd rather that for fantasy. Just keep chucking. Like, why not? And Chase is going to be first read and second read a lot. So if I had anyone else, I'd be worried. Chase is the kind of guy. Look, you can get off him because he's cost so much money. He's going to lose some money. That massive score this week means he won't lose anywhere near as much as he might have. Whereas the reverse of Henry, who we spoke about last game, where he's going to lose a shitload because he's had such a bad score in the second week, that stays in his cycle longer. So it's important to know that not all points are equal in terms of break evens, because the week after, Chase will have a much lower break even. So I'm happy to roll with him and see and reassess at the bye, which I think is round 8, week 8.
Stay true with Chase. And moving on, this one, and I'll throw it to you, Mav. We've got New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys. I mean, this one was back and forth. I definitely did not think this one was going to go down to the wire the way that it did. I had Dallas to win in a little parlay myself, and then when Russell Wilson threw that 50-yard absolute Hail Mary to Malik Neighbors at the death just to send it into overtime, that just made me sick. But good to see Dallas come out with the win. I'll run through. Dak Prescott, 45 points. Brendan Aubrey, 44. He was the team, I'd like to think. Javonte Williams with 43. CeeDee Lamb, 31. George Pickens with 30. Convonte Turpin with 26. Jake Ferguson, 24. And the Cowboys defense with 2. Your Cowboys on this side of the ball, Maverick, how are you feeling about their week 2 performance?
Yeah, I'm going to start with another kicker, Brandon Aubrey, and probably should start with him because he's been so good for so long. But there's been quite a few people over there on the Twitter Spaces at the moment, more so in the preseason, not saying that you don't spend top dollar for kickers. Well, Aubrey is a guy that you would spend top dollar for. This guy is automatic with anywhere between 66 inwards, really. And he doesn't miss. And proved again how clutch and how good he is as well. So if you have Brandon Aubrey, you just keep him for the rest of the year and let him roll because he's not going to lose any money. He's just going to keep doing what he does. And he's pretty much the safest kicker that you can get in fantasy football. So, but yeah, outside that, CeeDee Lamb was pretty disappointing if I'm being honest myself. 40 points that was put on the board and he only scores 31 SuperCoach points. So you probably want more out of that. You probably want 45 plus ideally in order to shootout. So that was disappointing. But again, most people already own CeeDee Lamb, so you're probably not always going to have a lot there. And then you got Javonte Williams, boys. I don't know what his break even is going to be, but it's going to be pretty low. He's priced at $8.7 million. It's going to be negative 20, probably my guess.
I've done negative 37 is my calculation of it. So he might be a Chase Brown down to Javonte just for a couple of weeks of cash. Like, that's a serious option. So I'll let you go, but that's...
Yeah, I know. And like he's averaging like first week 38 points, second week 47, and like it's not because he's just had 1 yard carries or 2 yard carries and then just punching him in. He generally actually looks good, has some burst back into his game, and actually finding the holes and breaking through the holes and actually making some big gains to go with it. So good for Javonte. He looks like he's found a bit of a home for now. He's a temporary maybe. But at the same time, ride the hot hand, and that's what he's doing. And again, yeah, he's going to be a SuperCoach option in week 3. You're going to see a lot of trade-ins for him, a lot of correction trades, possibly guys who maybe rolled with 3 rookies, 4 rookies possibly, might need to spend some more money to go up to save the day there with some of these guys who haven't really made money at this point. RJ Harvey, Henderson's another one from memory. Hampton could be tomorrow. We don't know yet, but that could be another one. So same with Genty, to be fair. So one to watch. But all in all, pretty fun game to watch.
And Secko, on the Giants side of the ball, we had some pretty monster scores. Malik Neighbours, 66. I think he could be a big trading target following his first couple of weeks. Russell Wilson, 62. Wan'Dale Robinson, 48. Gano, their kicker, 26. Cam Scatterbo got 25, which was good to see him take over that backfield. And then Tyrone Tracy got 14. On the Giants side of the ball, Secko, what are your main reactions for week 2?
Malik will be very, very, very highly traded in. We saw these one-off. I mean, I'm not saying one-off. I'm not saying he's crap. These one-off spike games, these massive spike games, really do get people reactive. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm tempted to bring him in myself. So, but people bought in Derrick Henry off one game last week, the week before. You should have. So now that it's on the bubble, he'll be heavily bought in. He can do this so easily. I think it was 160 and 2 touchdowns. And Russell Wilson's shown that he can make things happen. He's one play away. Scatterbo is huge. He has taken over as the short yardage back, goal line back. Whereas Tracy's doing all of his work in between the 20s and sort of low impact. So I'm not saying that he's really relevant or any of them are relevant, but Scatterbo's the guy probably going forward. If you had him in traditional formats, it's good thing you got him and held on. He looks like he's going to be the main guy, and they're actually quite viable as an offense. They can move the ball. So other than that, there's no one of note on the Giants.
Secko, just before we move on, Wan'Dale Robinson, is it worth getting lost in the sauce over, or this is just this is a one-time spike? Tread carefully.
Well, it was his career game, right? So he pretty much doubled his ADOT. He doubled his yards per catch and everything on his career average. He's never had 10 targets in a game before, and he's been like one of those vultures or never had 8 catches, maybe something. He's consistently that sort of 6 to 7 catch guy, but never gone higher than 8. I mean, what's he cost in SuperCoach? He'd probably be same as Javonte Williams, and I know who I'd choose if in a vacuum between those two.
Love it. And moving on to the next game that wasn't so close, Chicago took on Detroit. and Detroit just put it on them. I think after coming off last week's loss, Dan Campbell just had the boys lined up 52-21. They lapped what the Chicago Bears put up. And we'll start off with you, Mav, on the Detroit side. A lot of big scores again. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 69. Nice. Jared Goff, 67. Jameer Gibbs, 35. Jamison Williams, 35. David Montgomery, 24. Sam Laporta scored 8, and the Lions defense 16, and also their kicker Bates dropped 20. From this 52 points from the Detroit side, are you targeting anybody, Mav, heading into next week? And then also, just your general overall on this side of the ball.
Look, if you got Gibbs, you probably take the 35 points. Again, they score 52 points in the game. You don't score 35 points. It's disappointing. You want 50 plus out of him in this sort of game, to be honest with you. You really do, especially when they're sort of throwing the hammer down on the Bears and you're not really getting any rushing touchdowns from Gibbs to go with it. When, the score's in your favour, which is always a concern. But outside of that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, good return for investors that have taken him. Poor week 1, really good week 2. Still at a very expensive price. I think it's nearly $18 million, 17.99 to be exact. So, look, he's probably not really a trade-in target at this point just yet. But, at the same time, he's still, Amon-Ra St. Brown look really good. So, outside of that, there's not really much there like on the Detroit Lions side. SuperCoach-wise.
And Secko, Chicago Bears, there was a couple of big scores. One in particular, Roma Dunze, he led the scoring for the Bears with 56. And there is a stat, last year in his rookie year, he had 3 receiving touchdowns all year. He's hit that already over the first 2 weeks this year. So, he's definitely making a name for himself in Chicago. And following up that is quarterback Caleb Williams, 35, DeAndre Swift, 24, DJ Moore, 14. And one other name that I will mention, Colson Loveland with a big fat donut. Chicago Bears on this side of the ball for you.
Yeah, look, Dunze, I said at the start of the year, and it's definitely clear for everybody. I don't think there's any debate. He's the wide receiver 1 in Chicago, and will be forever. He's a massive option for me in SuperCoach as well. I've just got to narrow down these 5 or 6 guys, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday, providing a sort of a priority list or a rankings list of who we like the best at cost. But he's right up there. He's had 20 targets. He just looks. He's Williams' go-to guy in every situation, as well as the red zone, which you said, Mull. So, 3 touchdowns. I can see him being a 1,210 touchdown guy this year. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. If Williams can get going and Ben Johnson, all that stuff we've spoken about, they work better together. Loveland is just a no. Like, he's 24.9% owned. He should be 0.0% owned out of this week. He's a non-factor. He's not part of the game plan. He just, I don't know why you would have him past this week. We've seen enough. He might come good later, but he's losing cash. Like, there's no. Actually, today counts as a 0. I think it's a DMP. So you actually won't have a price rise to the week after, which is a weird little. What was that? Sorry.
Still 0.0% owned. Should be. That should be the tag for him.
He should be 0.0% owned. Like, it's clear he's not part of the game plan in the slightest. So anyway, must trade, must go to Fannin. If you haven't got any money at all, do what you got to do. One takeaway: do not have Loveland on your list next week.
Oh, I've got a lot of trades to make next week. Well, it sounds of it. Loveland is on my team. But moving on, New England and Miami. Now, this game was plenty of points scored. Running through for the SuperCoach recap. Starting with New England side of the ball. New England did come away with the win at home, which was good to see. Drake May coming up big, leading the scoring for this game with 52. Or Ramondre Stevenson with 36, just very disappointing. The kicker, Borregals, 18. Booty with 16. Matt Collins with 14. The New England defense beat their break even with 14. Then Travion Henderson with 10 and Stephon Diggs with 10. Mav, with you, New England Patriots. I mean, Drake May coming out party. Surely you're coming along for the ride with that.
Yeah, luckily he's in my team. He's probably the best player that I've picked at a POD price. 18 mil for a QB was that POD prices at the time. So I'm happy that I do have him on the squad. He's going to have a bit of a lower break even coming into next week. So I think he had 33 or 31 points in week 1, 52 in week 2. So he should have a solid break even. Make some coin, should get over $20 million, and hopefully he's a stepping stone to getting a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson in at some point sooner rather than later. But hopefully Drake May can get me there quicker than, very quickly. Outside of that, Travion Henderson's been a very big disappointment for SuperCoach wise at this point. Very big disappointment. I expected more out of him. Look, he's still going to make some coin, very little, but make some coin. 15 points in week 1 and 10 points in week 2. So, he'll probably have a negative 3 to 5 break even, I'd say, top of my head. I'm just guessing, but I think that's probably about right. And then, once he starts getting price rises, the break even will catch up very quickly, and then he'll be at a halt. So, disappointing, but maybe he'll start coming out next week. Maybe it'll happen eventually. It's just a matter of when.
Hopefully Stevenson fumbles early next week, and then that'll just kind of sort itself out. But on the Miami side of the ball for you, Secko, Devon Achane top scored for their team with 44, Tua with 39, Jalen Waddle 30, Tyreek Hill 27, their kicker Patterson with 22, and the Dolphins defense put up 4. Anything from you on this one on the Dolphins side of the ball?
Devon Achane is, to sort of harp back to the Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs discussions we've had. He's a wide receiver for them. I think he caught another 8 balls this week. He's the go-to guy for Tua. And obviously he mixes in the other 2 guys. It's a 3-man offense. We say that, I say that quite a bit. That's what you're looking for in all fantasy situations. But in this one, Achane can do it with his in the run game. But if he's not doing that, he's getting 8 for 70 something and a touchdown. So he's another massive trading option later in the week. Otherwise, I wouldn't touch Tyreek or Waddle. I like Waddle, not for SuperCoach. If you've got him or trade for him, he could. But also, there's every chance that they lose this week badly. McDaniel gets fired, and the whole team goes to absolute, what. So maybe just steer clear of all Miami Dolphins. Probably better.
Steer clear. That's good. Good to hear. The next game, Buffalo taking on New York Jets at MetLife Stadium. Buffalo put them to the sword with 30-10. Recapping for you, I'll starting with Buffalo side of the ball with you, Maverick. James Cook top scored for them with 51. Then their kicker Prater with 28. Josh Allen, fall from grace from last week. I got lost in the sauce and brought him in last week and slapped the big C on him. Silly me, lesson learned. Elijah Moore with 20, Buffalo Bills defense with 20, and then Kincaid and Coleman, they didn't really follow up from their week 1 scores. Mav, from Buffalo, Josh Allen, it hurts, but if you have him, you're keeping him in or you're rage trading him away?
No, you don't trade Josh Allen, never. Ever trade Josh Allen. Look, it probably shows the fact that you can't just slap a C on someone. Unless you have to. I understand not every team is able to be built like we can VC and loophole and stuff like that. So sometimes you do have to take a risk throughout. I mean, this week we were lucky we had Coe as our captain, who obviously is listed as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, doesn't play tomorrow. So if you do have him, yep, cool. You're able to launch the VC on someone, but doesn't mean you can do that next week either. So we'll have to look at the schedule and make sure that happens. But James Cook is probably the one this week that looked really, really good. 2 rushing touchdowns, looked really energetic on the ground. Starting to really get going now in his year. 36 points in week 1, 51 in week 2. He's actually another player that you could bring in at any point if you wanted to move on from a guy named, what's his name? Chase Brown. If you want to move him on. James Cook would be a nice little pod. I don't know what his percentage owned is. Let me see if I can quickly find this, but it wouldn't be a hell of a lot. Selections. Yeah, not many have him. So, 5% of teams have him. 1,300 teams have him in. So I expect that to change coming into this week. There'll be guys that will bring him in and run with the hot hand and run the pod. I don't know when he or if he'll come into my team, but again, really like the player, like the profile, like what he brings. He was a big problem. Well, not a big problem, but I thought he might regress this year with touchdowns. Doesn't seem like that's the case at all. He's just running away with it. And yeah, it looks really good. But outside of that, there wasn't really much else I liked out of the Bills offense. Allen was average. Did what he needed to do. Kincaid, if you've got him as a tight end, was awful. Gave you no production at all. Same with Keon Coleman if you have him as a pod. Didn't really give you much, but he still might give you some cash next week. He had a good week one. But yeah, outside of that, not much else.
And probably a quick segment on the New York Jets side of the ball from you, Secko. Justin Fields did go down halfway through this game, and Tyrod Taylor came in, but Tyrod Taylor top scored with 16, Garrett Wilson with 14, Gross, Jeremy Rocket, their tight end with 14, Nick Folk put up 12, and Breece Hall with 8, and Justin Fields with 7. Any quick takeaways from you on this one before we jump into the next?
No, not really. I wouldn't consider owning any of these guys. If you own Wilson or Breece Hall, probably the only two that you would have, or Fields if you bought him in, which, yeah, bad luck. You've just got to hold through. Probably see another week. I don't know. The break-even of Breece Hall will be pretty high. So maybe I just think there's too many trades to be done. Like, these guys aren't completely busted compared to some of the other options. So it's all dependent on your team. But I'll try and get away from the Jets. I don't love the situation.
Moving on, Seattle took on Pittsburgh. Seattle had a dominant win with 31-17. And this one, to me, I couldn't tell. Was the Seahawks defense really good, or was Aaron Rodgers just being Aaron Rodgers? So that was probably the storyline for me. But I'll throw it back to you, Second, to start us off with Seattle. Kenneth Walker, it was good to see him kind of getting back in favor with the team. He looked much better than Zach Charbonnet. He top scored with 36. Sam Darnold being pretty good for Supercoach with 35. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 28. Seahawks defense went big with 28. And Cooper Kupp had a nice game with 25. And then also rookie Torrey Horton had a touchdown grab, I believe, some point through the game. And Zach Charbonnet put up 2 compared to Kenneth Walker's 36. So Seattle Seahawks against Steelers from you, Secko.
Yeah, it's complete night and day from A, last week, and B, between Walker and Charbonnet. Charbonnet actually had more carries. He had 15 carries for 10 yards. So that probably tells you what you need to know about him. I always thought Kenneth Walker was more explosive than Charbonnet. Charbonnet's like a grinder type. And yeah, Walker had a bunch of, really solid, no monsters out of that 100 plus yards. He just had a bunch of good chunk plays. JSN's my boy. Another one who's massive consideration to bring in. I should have started with him. I had him for the longest time, and I decided to go guns and rookies and take out the mid price guys. Which now I wish I had started him instead of Drake London, but he still might come in. If I do a boost, it may be him or Roma Dunza I'm tossing up with. But outside of that, Cooper Kupp, it's good that he's alive. He finally looked like he could move again. I don't know what last week was, but he's a different player. So he might cut into some JSM, but this guy's the most targeted player in the league for a reason. So that should continue. And Darnold was more than serviceable. To answer your question off the top, though, Seattle is a good defense, and Pittsburgh is not a good defense.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, Maverick, Jalen Warren top scored for these guys with 30. Aaron Rodgers, 24. Boswell, 24. DK Metcalf, 19. Kenneth Gainwell with 10. Steelers put up 10. And then Jonnu Smith put up 9. And I will just throw in there, Caleb Johnson put up 0. And, man, he made just the dumbest mistake towards the back end of the game on a kick, I believe. I think he touched it, and he just walked off like nothing happened. And then they ran and jumped on it in the end zone. It was a touchdown. The easiest touchdown that Seahawks probably will get this year. Pittsburgh, though, Maverick, any real takeaways on this one, or anybody really Supercoach worthy of note?
I mean, if you do own DK Metcalf, he's becoming a problem, in my opinion. Saved by a touchdown. You take that touchdown away and very minimal use at all. I mean, he had 87 yards last week, so that was okay. But 3 for 20 and a touchdown again against a good defense. So I'll give him some praise for that. That he actually could score and muster out at least a half decent score. But again, Aaron Rodgers is showing that he very slow, very very slow. So maybe on green positive matchups, DK might have some good outbursts of performance. But when it's a tough matchup, it's almost time to just hold him back, bench him if you've got him. At this point, you'd probably even look to trade him. But yeah, outside of that, Jalen Warren's the only one out there that you'd actually consider bringing in. I don't know what his price is. It's $7.9 million. So he'll make some coin if you want a downgrade option. Looks like he's going to be taking the role for the remainder if he's healthy, because Caleb Johnson won't be the way he's going. He might even not make the roster again the way he's going. He might get cut. If he keeps bringing up this performance that he keeps doing. But yeah, outside Jalen Warren, there's not much else there at the Steelers that you'd like.
Moving on to our next game, and Tennessee versus the Rams. The Rams won this one 31-19. Bit of a scrappy match. And throwing it to you, Secko, to give us your Rams bias here, mate, as a resident Rams fan. Puka Nacua top scored this one. I did see a clip. I think he ran in like a 40-yard rush. I don't know if my eyes were kind of playing with me or not, but I thought he looked a little bit slow with that one. Maybe I'm completely missing the mark with that one. But Puka Nacua, 47. Devontae Adams put up a good score with 39. Matt Stafford, 36. Blake Corum, 20. The kicker Cardi put up 18. Kyron Williams put up 17. And their DST put up 16. But Rams against Tennessee for you, Secko. What were your key takeaways?
I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean by him looking slow. He's not lightning. But yeah, he didn't look like he smashed it. But having said that, some of his running catches as well, he has acceleration. So I'm not worried about him. He's going to be another one that I really want to bring in. So I need to do the sums and see what makes the most sense from money for points and dollars situation. But yeah, Puka, if you've got him, he's a top 3 or 4 receiver in the game, in my opinion. Devontae was good that he got onto the onto the score sheet, and B led the team in targets. Again, very concentrated. Outside of him, there was three targets, 2 wide receivers outside of Devontae and Puka. So 2-man offense. The interesting part is Blake Corum actually got a 33% split of rushing rushes to Kyron 65, and Sean McVay said that's the way he wants it to be going forward. So if you got Kyron, I'm not saying jettison him, but keep an eye. He may be capped.
And Maverick on the other side of the ball here with Tennessee. Joey Sly, the kicker topped the team for that. So yeah, just the MVP for the Titans with 34. Alec Aomana, 4th-round rookie. He scored 27 with a nice touchdown grab. Cam Ward, first overall pick with 19. He blitzed his break even for the week. Tony Pollard with 18. Calvin Ridley, 14. And the Tennessee Titans put up 8 on defense. Anything worthy of note going on to in this one before we head into the next, Mav?
The only thing I'm going to say is if you've nailed the majority of your squad and you need a productive rookie coming through, Aomana would actually be a good correction trade, to be honest with you. He looks like he's getting uber targeted, looks like he's involved in the offense, had a really nice touchdown grab today. That's if you have the ability to do it. If you had to move on like Matthew Golden or a Travis Hunter and bring this guy in, I would be fine with that. Keep in mind, week 1, it was only 4 or 5 points, but had 7 targets. And keep in mind, they played the Broncos, so give him a bit of slack on that. But outside of that, he looks like he's really involved in the offense. So he would be one to look into if you could do it. Outside of that, Cam Ward is looking like he's just okay. Nothing really too exciting about him. Just okay. He's a bit flashy. It's going to hurt him eventually. He's got a bit of Will Levis about him, to be honest with you, in some ways.
You can't say that.
You
can't
can
say that.
You can.
You cannot say that.
He does.
You cannot say that.
He
You cannot
does.
say that though. That's so wrong.
He
Nah,
needs
I
to.
can't
He
sign
needs to
that.
put away these shitty little plays where he's just flicking and
He
dunking it
just played the
around.
Broncos
Just
and the Rams, mate. He's played 2 of the top 6 defenses in the
yeah,
league, and he's
bad
mate.
bad
Come
habits to
on.
get into early in your career. Let's just
All right,
let's park that
all
away.
right,
Let's stand
all right.
and drive down the line, boys. Let's stick to that sort of stuff.
Let's revisit that in a month. All right. Okay.
Hopefully his catchable target rate goes up because his receivers they've been copping some Will Levis like balls. So yeah, I'll side on that side with you, but we will move on before things get a little too heated here. San Fran taking on New Orleans Saints. They get the win 26-21. And this one actually put up more points than what I expected with Mac Jones under center for the 49ers. And I'll throw it to you, Secko. Mac Jones top scored for this team with 43, CMC with 39, Juwan Jennings with 34. Their kicker Pinheiro kicked, he got 20, Pearsall with 15, and the defense put up 10. The 49ers for you in week 2.
Yeah, defense super disappointing, especially against the Saints. As an owner, I'm not happy. Obviously, can't do much about it. You're not trading out defenses when you've got so many other issues to fix. They have a pretty good run. CMC is my big regret. I sort of hoped he'd be injured by now, but he's not. So I'm going to get him injured next week by bringing him in every chance. So sorry in advance. He'll be out for 4 to 6 as of next week. And Kittle is still on 16% of rosters, so time to think about what to do with Kittle. He wasn't from this game, but he still does exist as a player on a lot of teams. My suggestion, I'll get to on Wednesday, is also the name of a company that makes cheese.
Hey, there you go, a little cheese teaser.
I'm surprised you're not talking about bloody fannies or something like that. That's what I was thinking you were going down. Anyway,
you can say $5.5 million going from Kittle to Kraft, and I think they've got about the same scoring potential. The way what we've seen from Kraft, so I think you're better off take the points and the cash.
And Mav, New Orleans Saints side of the ball from you. Spencer Rattler put up 42. Rashid Shaheed, 26. Juwan Johnson putting up 26, being consistent. Alvin Kamara, 25. And Chris Olave putting up 16. Saints defense put up 10, but we can't expect too much from them. Any takeaways on this before we get to the Carolina and Arizona game?
I've got nothing to say about the Saints offensively for SuperCoach. Like for traditional fantasy, sure, but SuperCoach wise, no one should be owned in any of the squads. So I'm happy to move on from the Saints.
Love it. Nice and quick. Thank you, Maverick. And Maverick, I'll throw to you. Arizona, they did beat Carolina. They probably should have won by a lot more, but their defense is kind of, just took the piss the second half of the game and let Carolina come back in it. But Kyler Murray top scored for this team with 29. Their defense coming up big with 26. James Conner, 22. Trey McBride, 21. Their kicker, Ryland, scored 20. Trey Benson, 12. Marvin Harrison, just very disappointing after his week 1. He scored 7. Arizona from you against the Carolina Panthers, Mav.
Yeah. I mean, Marvin Harrison, huh? That's such a shame what's happening. And I sort of saw it happening. I could see it happening this year. Kyle Murray shit me to tears, to be honest with the way he plays sometimes. Just gross. McBride average 21 points. That's okay, but you probably want more out of him being primo tight end and probably the only primo tight end that's healthy at the moment. That's if Brock Bowers plays tomorrow. We expect him to, but he's at the moment the only primo tight end healthy. And then outside of that, the Cardinals had a bit of a fumble score, didn't they, in the first quarter, which really set them up for fantasy for their defensive score. I had them benched. I was never looking forward to starting them, even though it was not a bad matchup for them. I got San Fran myself and loved the fact they were playing against the Saints. So unfortunately ran with the fact that I had to bench the Cardinals, and then that's cost me 16 points. So it is what it is. But outside of that, there's not much else there that I really like out of Arizona. Actually, there's nothing I like out of Arizona at the moment, to be honest with you. What they're doing to Trey Benson at the moment is also pretty criminal too. He looks like he's actually a handy player he's not getting any carries. They gave him all the passing work today and looked really good with it, and then gave him no rushing work. And James Conner was just average. So hopefully they can just give the keys to Benson at one point and go, see, do what you can do. Show us what you can do. Give us a full game of trade Benson and let's roll. So hopefully it comes up soon.
Given Connor's injury history, that might be just around the corner. One to watch out for. Carolina side of the ball, Secko. Bryce Young, after a very slow first half, he finished with 44. Hunter Renfrow put up 40. Chuba Hubbard, 31. Ted McMillan, 26. We absolutely love to see that. He looks very consistent. And I won't spend too much time, but Panthers defense put up 6. But takeaways from this side of the ball for you, Secko?
Yeah, T-Mac, Terrell McMillan's a stud, like a real-life stud. His fantasy scores will come. He'll get in the end zone eventually. His break-even's -20 next week. He's 60% owned. He's someone you can keep on field. I feel like his floor's going to be around that 20 points. Bryce Young needs him. Bryce Young, we like Bryce Young as a sort of collective here at Insight. And he showed more of that back end of 2024 form after halftime. They'll be in some positive game strips for throwing for him. So, McMillan's not, keeping your team till the bye. He'll keep making cash. I can just feel it. Outside of that, Chuba's disappointing. There's a bit of Dowdle mixed in there. Yeah, there's no one else really SuperCoach relevant in the team. So it's good because everything sort of gets funneled a little bit to the one guy. So ride him and be happy you've got him, whether it's on field or bench.
Moving on, Indianapolis Colts. They just nudged out Denver in a nail biter, and they had a lot of work to do as well in the last quarter to come back, and led by Danny Dimes. Starting with you, Mav, on the Colts side of the ball. JT top score with 57. Oh man, I think he'll definitely be making a preview on our Wednesday night show when we talk about trade-ins. Daniel Jones put up 45. The kicker Strader put up 36. He could also get a mention. Tyler Warren, 19. Still the price where you got him from, very safe. Josh Downs and Michael Pittman with 16 and 12. So not much from the receiving side of the ball here. But Mav, before we move on to Denver, what have you got for us?
It looks like they're playing really well. Like the Colts, very underrated performance again from Danny Dimes, looking really good. Tyler Warren, obviously we'll start with him first, being a top rookie option tight end. Comfortable, no problems at all. I'm probably going to be starting him most weeks if I don't go and trade for Tucker Kraft or anyone like that, because this guy looks like he's fine to be inserted in starting lineups. There's also Jonathan Taylor, who has been phenomenal. Well, he was today anyway. Was unlucky not to have a big score last week, and then this week he had a big score. A lot of passing game work, which I really like about Jonathan Taylor. I've always liked Jonathan Taylor on the ground, but now through the air, it looks like it's pretty exciting for him. So that's looking pretty good. And then, outside of that, there's not much else. I mean, Pittman had the shadowing of Satan, so he was pretty capped out there, which was expected. Fair enough. But all in all, looks like Danny Dimes has made a really positive impact in this team. It's just when does this take a turn and turn to shit? Because I've seen this story before, where Danny Dimes start off really well and then just fall into crap. So I guess it does help when you got an elite offensive line, giving you time in the pocket to actually assess and make an option for yourself. So, really happy for Danny Dimes. Looks like he might have found a home for himself too. So, really happy for him and for the squad. And this squad on paper, I really do like it for fantasy. It's got a lot of everything. So, really happy for him.
Rest in peace, Anthony Richardson. He will not play in the NFL anymore. Denver side of the ball here from you, Secko. Not a whole lot going on. A few sneaky ones, actually. Bo Nix put up 42. It was good to see him have a little bit of a bounce back in terms of fantasy production. Troy Franklin coming out of nowhere and dropping 39, being their top score from a skill position player. J.K. Dobbins, 29. He's still leading that backfield ahead of R.J. Harvey. Marvin Mims put up 18. Their tight end, Evan Engram, put up 3. And speaking of R.J. Harvey, he put up 5. And also probably another big thing just to throw out there, Denver Broncos scored a donut with their defense, allowing that many points against the Colts. Before we move on, Secko, your takeaways from the Denver Broncos side of the ball.
Denver Broncos. Like I'll start with the DST because they're somehow 26% home, which I get because it's, it seems like the sort of default of a lot of people in this game has been just to pay up for everyone and get by. And it's worked well with, the Lamars and Josh Allens and Saquon and whoever else, Jamar Chase this week. But yeah, spending $12.5 million on a defense just to chuck up a zero, so it doesn't really seem to be that wise a decision. We said it, in the preseason, and we sort of knew this can happen with any defense, right? So, I mean, you pay up for a kicker because Aubrey, they actually give him the opportunity to kick goals from anywhere, whereas other teams would be punting or going for it. They're like, this guy can't miss, we'll take the 3. Whereas defenses can just get, and then it's very hard to be good 2 years in a row. So you probably can't trade out of it. You probably have to just suck it up and hope when it gets to the bye week you can get by with a reasonable whoever's on your bench to cover them and just ride them for the rest of the year because you've sort of made that hole and you're probably going to be stuck in it. RJ Harvey, the rough own. I'd personally hate to have him. He's clearly, Dobbins is clearly the guy, and you're just waiting out an injury at this rate. It looks like, which sucks. They even mixed in Tyler Badee and Sean Payton's just one of those dudes that I would never want to be depending on a rookie to get in. It almost has to be injury based. It's sort of like Travion Henderson with Vrabel being like one of those old school coaches. Like it has to be an injury or a fumble or something behind closed doors to happen to get in. So it's tough. It's a tough trade out for Harvey. There's probably more pressing issues, but he's not going to make much money. It's going to be real tough, slow burn until he gets in the team. By which stage you're probably not going to want him anymore. So otherwise, Franklin's Franklin. You wouldn't trust on that. Sutton was absolutely Casper, the not so friendly ghost today. He was sort of nowhere. And Nick's had a good game, which is good. But a bit of a weird mix up. They lost to Indy, which I didn't see really coming. So, bit of a weird one.
Bit of a weird one indeed. And moving on now, this one was, and apologies to Chiefs fans that are in the chat. I absolutely loved seeing them drop to 0-2 to start the year. And I'm sure I'm not alone with that one. But Philly took on Kansas City at Arrowhead and they won 20-17. Starting with you, Mav, on the Kansas City side of the ball. Pat Mahomes put up a pretty decent score with 45. He got a nice big garbage time touchdown to Tyquan Thornton, who scored 25. Travis Kelce, 16, dropped a reception in the end zone, and it turned into an intercept. So that could have definitely flipped the script for that game. Harrison Butker put up 14, their kicker. Marquise Hollywood Brown put up 11. Kareem Hunt, 7. Isaiah Pacheco, 6. And the defense put up 6 as well. Mav, with this one, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on the running backs, but this wide receiver room, another week without Worthy, how does this look moving forward? And Patty Mahomes as a whole.
The ball is just going to get spread to a different receiver every week. There's no real go-to in this offense. I just realized that Isaiah Pacheco is actually owned by 11% of teams in SuperCoach. He should be owned by 0.0, as Secko would like to say. 0.0 would be more than fair, because he's not involved in the offense at all. He has to go. He's priced at $8.2 million. I'd even go sideways at trade and get Jalen Warren in, to be honest with you, if you had to. A much more safer, dependable option than Isaiah Pacheco. There's probably more options out there that we'll get to a bit later on.
Javonte's the option.
Javonte's another one option there. I knew there's one more in my head. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like either or fine. Yeah. So he's got to go. First one, if you own him, first traded, gone. Second one, AJ Brown, but I'll let Secko to go that one. Kelce be very, very close to it. Kelce be very, very close to it as well. He only had 13 points or 16 points today. What was it? 13 points, 23 points in week 1. Had a lucky touchdown in week 1. Mm-hmm. It really shouldn't have got it. He's 13% owned, and he probably has to go too. But this is the tight end position. Really, it's volatile. It's tough. You're going to get this week to week. Travis Kelce probably has a big week next week. It's probably his week next week, and then nothing for the next month after that. So who knows? But Yeah, it's hard to own anyone in this Kansas City offense at the moment. If you don't have Mahomes, fair enough, cool, I get it. If you have him, you're happy with him. But outside of that, I don't want anyone. I don't want any involvement in any sort of Chiefs player at all.
And on the Eagles side of the ball, just a little PSA to everybody that was in my DMs over the last week asking me what to do with AJ Brown. And I said, he's going to have an absolute smash bounce back week. I was very wrong, egg on my face. But next week he could be on. But in all seriousness, Saquon Barkley top score with 32. Their kicker Elliott with 24. Jalen Hurts, a lot of people had the C on him this week. He flopped with 23. Devonta Smith 14, AJ Brown 10, and the Eagles DST with 10. Secko, this one for you. You're hanging on to Jalen Hurts after this poor outing.
Yeah, 100%. There's too many other trades to be done than, serviceable quarterback types. Saquon's gone 32-32, which is consistent and good, really. He's going to lose a heap of cash, though. His break-even was 42 at the start of the campaign. It's 52 going to this week. It'll be probably 62 next week. So yeah, he'll lose a fair bit of cash, but you're not going to drop him out. He's a stud. Doesn't matter how much cash he loses if you just keep him the whole year. So you're not trading him out. AJ Brown is the one on everyone's lips. He had 8 targets. So, Jalen Hurts threw for 101 yards. So there's probably that. He had a quarter of all the yards thrown. So if he threw 300, that'd be 75. That'd be all right. He had 8 of the 22 targets, so good target rate. He went at 5.4 per catch though. He just doesn't look like he's there. And it was a weird game. Kansas City's a weird weird defense. Teams always play and score strange against them. I was with you, Mull, though. I told everyone under the sun was listening to me that he'd be hyper targeted, which he was, but he'd have a big day, and it just didn't come through. Devonta Smith, very much the same. He had 53 yards, though. If you've got these guys in SuperCoach, it depends how many trade-outs you've got, really. I think, obviously, Mav's going to get rid of AJ Brown in a justified rage trade. It's not a full rage. It's very much justified. But, he's probably not a keeper, so you'd probably have to trade him because he's going to lose millions of dollars.
Go on, mate. Go on.
I've rethought it. He's a definite trade. He's
go on.
100%.
Absolutely gone. And it was a weird game. Yeah, it was a really a gritty battle of the defenses type of game in real life NFL. But moving on to our last game that we'll be covering this evening. This was the primetime game, and it was a stinker. Minnesota versus Atlanta Falcons. Falcons went into Minnesota and they got the win 22-6. JJ McCarthy, he had us absolutely enamored last week. And throwing it to you first, Mav, on this one. I'll just quickly run through the recap of the scores. Justin Jefferson top scored with 19. That just kind of paints a picture just with how gross this game was in terms of SuperCoach production. The kicker, Ricard, put up 16. The Vikings defense put up 10. JJ put up 9. Yeah, Jordan Mason put up 9. Aaron Jones put up 4. And TJ Hawkinson put up 3. But Mav, this side of the ball for you, JJ McCarthy, what are we doing there?
For SuperCoach, we're keeping him. And we're going to be riding the cash train, the money train. We're riding it, but it's going to cap out very soon. This guy looks awful at the moment. Looks in all sorts. He's played one good quarter so far in his career. He's only played 8 quarters, to be fair, but one of them has actually been good. That was the last quarter last week against the Bears. But God, today was bad. Today was really bad against a defense who just a pretty crap, might I add. Easy balls missing. There was one to Naylor that he had to just put over the top. Naylor was free. He was gone. And missed him by about 5 yards. Wasn't close. Justin Jefferson's obviously body language wise, he just wants to be targeted and wants the ball in his hands. And he's struggling to do that. McCarthy at the moment. Hawkinson can't even sniff the ball. I don't know what the ball feels like anymore. It's been a while for him since he's actually had a catch. So he's in my team. He's another rage trade, courtesy of JJ McCarthy, that is. So he'll be gone, maybe for the Fanny, Fannin Jr. We'll see what happens, but he's going to go. They all going to go, man. All these guys, except for McCarthy, because again, he's the only one that's actually generating some coin in here. The rest of them all going to go. All of them.
So, tell you what, Mav, I'm glad you stated Fannin Jr. at the end of that one there. That could have been left up to interpretation if anybody joined in late. Secko, Atlanta side of the ball. I mean, this for them, it was their defense and it was Bijan Robinson. The defense put up 42. Thanks to JJ McCarthy's couple of intercepts and a whole heap of sacks to go along with it. Bijan Robinson is just being so tried and true. No real breakout game. He's scoring 36, but he was the offense. I think he had 25 opportunities. 22 rush attempts and 3 receptions to go along with it. And besides that, Tyler Algier, things you hate to see. He ran in a garbage time touchdown at the end, but it's always going to happen when they're in those game scripts. Kyle Pitts, 11. Little disappointing, but what more can you expect? Michael Penix Jr. put up 10 gross. Drake London put up 8, which I think was probably more so due to his injury that he was dealing with. But to close us out here, Secko, on the last team that we're covering tonight, the Atlanta Falcons against the Vikings.
So Drake London, I mean, there's no good days involved in this entire game. 3 for 49 is not terrible. He had a fumble though, so his score was a lot. It was dragged down by that. But yeah, he's probably he's trade worthy too. But I can't afford it. I don't have enough trades. If anyone can give Maverick an extra 4 or 5 trades, that'd be great. We'll give you some good cash for that. We both need it. We're clearly both struggling. Bijan's a stud. He's always going to get vultured when the game's over and it's in the last quarter. It sucks a bit. But Algier's sort of done that for 2 whole years now. And luckily, Bijan is just a great running back, great runner. I think he went about 7 yards or almost 7 yards a carry. If anyone watched that first drive, he just came out like a bull at a gate. It was unbelievable to watch. Other than that, there's no one of relevance. If you can get out of London, then I say go for it. London to Puka is in the comments. That's if you haven't got any other issues, I still might do it personally. But I'm still very bullish on them riding it a little bit. But we'll have to wait and see on that. And that's pretty much. They're pretty gross. It was a gross game. I'm trying to forget all about it. I didn't retain much that I watched, so I've actually got no memory to recall. It was disgusting.
Good.
And hopefully we should have some bangers to close out the week tomorrow. We do have Tampa Bay versus Houston and the Chargers versus Las Vegas Raiders. So we will be covering those games in tomorrow night's traditional fantasy show. So make sure to tune in for that. Before we get to some comments, if you are watching and tuning along with us on YouTube, please hit us with a nice like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really appreciate it. It gets Mav absolutely rolling for the Fannin Jr. when we get some like and subscribes here. Moving on, but we'll jump into some comments. Thanks again for the guys that were sending this throughout the show. I'll just pop that one back over there. So the comments, let's run up through here. Big Horse. Backwards Hat Club. Honestly, when I saw this from you, Secko, this is giving me Dan Quinn vibes. I know there was so much talk as first year head coach. Always rock the backwards hat. So that's Dan Quinn vibes there.
He always has he always has the flexi fit though. Like because he's so bald that he just gets the shine off it.
Could be a little flexi fit sponsor coming to the show shortly. Moving on here. Our man Punter. Chase was the second most traded out player, and Henry was the third most traded in player. It changes quick in week 1, and we spoke a lot. This is this game that we all know and love. It is very, very volatile in terms of fantasy and also SuperCoach. So you need to be, you can't really take on yesterday's points. You kind of need to look at a new slate each week. It's a tough one. It's going to be fun to recap the trades that go on in Wednesday night show as well. Guy here from IJ, what happened to Josh Allen? And I think we did touch on this one throughout the show. It was just James Cook. James Cook got all the rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen really didn't need to do much more. They won by 20 points. That game was really sat, sealed, delivered, game scripted out. Can't really do much more from that, but stay tried and true. He will bounce back next week. I can all but guarantee it. TC, which mid-range got the lowest BEs? We'll probably touch on this one in Wednesday night show as well. But Secko, just if you can throw a name out of the hat here that you like in mid-range, that probably has the best break evens.
Yeah. I'm just trying to do the quick sums. I saw that ahead in the doc. Zay Flowers, massive one. He'll be deep minus, like mid-teens minus. Debo will be okay at 10 mil. Jackson Smith will be a very low break even as well. Top of my head, that is George Pickens. No, he had a bad first week. Yeah, those will do. But we'll hit on that a lot more. We'll have some break even analysis on Wednesday. Huh?
And then we have Javonte Williams from Mav. Yeah.
Oh, and Javonte. Is he a mid price or is he just a high price?
He's 8 mil. He's 8 mil.
That's pretty low.
Sorry, I thought he was 6. Yeah. I thought he was 6 mil. Sorry,
yeah.
That's right. Javonte's the best one then. All right. Again.
This one. And this one here from PSAB. Thanks for letting us in. Broncos went from being the best scoring DST to a big fat donut. Exactly. That's just the volatility of the game. Yep. Get used to it. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get used to it. You can't be thinking about what last week's scores were all the time. It's a different game. It's not like AFL fantasy, NRL fantasy, where these guys are fairly consistent. This game, week to week, they get schemed a lot and studied a lot. So the scoring has always been quite volatile. I mean, you saw Josh Allen this week with a 24, whatever it was. So it's going to happen week to week, man. You're just going to have to get used to it. It's hard, but it is what it is.
Very matchup dependent.
And they've got the Chargers. Sorry, and they've got the Chargers next week as well. Which, we haven't seen them obviously on Monday Night Football, but the way they sort of played against the Chiefs, I don't think that you really want to be playing the Broncos next week either. So it's a tough spot, but it happens.
Yeah.
And Travis Hunter played more defensive snaps than on offense. That would explain why his SuperCoach scoring was so low. And against all the weapons that the Bengals had, they really had to, put more attention on that side of the ball. Secko, this one on you. Anything before we move on to the next?
Yeah, he did, but that's because there was an injury to one of their cornerbacks in the third quarter. So he played majority. He only played 8. I think I heard or read somewhere. He only played 8 defensive snaps in the first 2.5 quarters. And he ended up with 33 because he had to play at a necessity. So, yes, it's true, but that's not why he was bad either. He was bad long before he was playing defensive snaps.
And moving on to you, Mav, here from our mate Punter again. If you have Loop and Co at kicker, would you run with that or look to bring in another money maker? Where's your head on this?
Great question. It's actually a really good question, to be honest with you. I haven't checked the schedule just yet. I'm going to check it right now. The Buccaneers play 3 a.m. next week.
1 p.m. next 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
you're limited.
You could probably, if you don't have Loop in, for example, I don't have Loop, you could actually go and trade Co out for Loop, sideways trade maximum coin. You could do that, yeah. But, if you just have Loop, you can probably start him and keep him and then keep Co there on the bench. It's not really awful. If you don't have Loop at all, you can always downgrade to get Loop in, make some coin. There's multiple ways in doing it, but at this point in time, we've been blessed with the schedule so far where Co has been able to be a good loophole option. But as Secko said, next few options, next few weeks for the Bucs isn't looking like that's going to be the case. I'm just checking it right now. They've got 3 a.m., 3 a.m., 7:05, 4 a.m. Yeah, so they had next month. They might have one looping option in the next month of football games. So keep that in mind.
An option there for Punter could be, given that sort of he's done his double looping, and then after week 5, it's sort of you get your bye week guys coming in to be loops as well. Going him to the Indianapolis kicker. Now that we know Indianapolis are a competent offense at least, there should be plenty of opportunities. They play in a dome as well, which is always good for kickers. So I think from memory, he's only about was he 7 or 8 mil. If you've got the cash there, it might be an option to go up there. That Schrader guy will make money as well. And it depends if you've got loop, as Mav said. So, but you can probably get off Co if you've got the cash, because he's sort of not going to help you as a loop much longer.
He's just a roster clogger at this point.
Yeah.
After this week, I think he is anyway.
Yeah.
And leaving this one to you, Secko, Drake to Puka, you did briefly mention that. Is it on the cards for this week, or are you going to have to try and save some trades for the next week?
It's team dependent. I think a lot of people are scoring some pretty good points, so they've dodged a lot of the crap that Mav and I have hit on so far. So they might have the luxury of a Drake to Puka. I don't think I'm in that fortunate a spot, but I'll wait. I've purposely just held back on my own looking at my own trades. I want to get a bigger picture when I actually see some break evens and all of that. But yeah, look, if you can get Puka in now, I can't sign off high enough of that. He's a start and gets plenty of catches. It's great for this format. He's not a massive touchdown guy, but he can be a big touchdown guy. But he's got a safe floor. So you're going from a guy who has no floor to a guy who has a safe floor. I think that's a good call.
And this one's just come in here. Well, this will be the last one before we close things up. Maverick, thoughts on rookie Teteroa? I know it's pretty universal, but give us a nice one-liner just to wrap it all up in a bow.
He's going to make money. Cash is king.
Cash is king. There we go. Absolutely love Teteroa McMillan. If you've got him in your lineup, you're absolutely laughing. Thanks heaps to everybody for sticking in while we get to those questions at the back end of the show. We'll probably look to do that over the next couple of shows as well. And so if you've got any questions, this is the best place to put it. Again, we will be back tomorrow night, same time, 7:30. It will be a traditional fantasy show, recapping the final 2 games of week 2. And we'll also cover the waiver wire, which I'm sure will help get a whole heap of questions come through. So that'll be a good one to go break down and give our best options with what kind of percentage fab we would look to spend on that. And before we close out, make sure that you are, if you have not already, follow us all on Instagram and X. You can see all of our handles in the description below. We are very active on there. We post on socials as much as we can to make sure that we're putting out content for you all. So yeah, make sure that you're following us if you have not already. But I'm Mull. That'll do it for it's us tonight with Maverick and Secko on the Insight NFL show. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
See ya.
Bye.